What is up, wrestling fans? Welcome to another episode of the Smark Out Moment Smack Talk podcast. I'm your host, as always, Tony Mango, and joining me, as always, is Robert DeFelice.
Thank you for saying my name properly, Tony. I appreciate that. Hello, everybody.
I always say your name properly. I asked ahead of time the very first time. That's what should happen when people do that kind of stuff. And Callum Wiggins, or should I say Wiggins?
You can call me Kalen like Drew does.
Yeah, that's true. Kaylin Wiggins, there you go. And Roberto or Bobbert, whichever one you choose.
Bobbert.
DeFelice. If you can't tell already, this is the mailbag for August 2018. Man, we've been doing a lot of mailbags. I wonder when we started with this. Probably, I don't know, 3 years ago or something like that. One of my favorite things to do in the month, though, it gives us a chance to kind of take a little bit of a break from talking about the same stuff all the time and kind of kick back. And isn't the phrase something like let your ears down or something like that? Isn't that some kind of a phrase?
Hair down?
Let your hair down. Isn't there something with ears?
No, we're not dogs,
so
no.
What if you're like a bloodhound or something?
Well, then we might be a member of the Shield.
Oh, there you go. The somewhat big dog is in the house. So let's just stop all this nonsense and start getting into the mailbag questions.
Stop all the nonsense and get into the nonsense.
Yeah, let's talk about food we like and shit. Let's start with Peter's questions here. Number 1, what do you do during Raw and SmackDown commercials? I've been giving up on Raw about an hour and a half in, and I don't find value in watching SmackDown live on TV. Man, I wish that I could just, do the whole DVR type thing like a lot of people do, because so many people are just kind of like, I don't watch SmackDown anymore. I skip through it, and it takes me 8 minutes to watch, and I'm like, I gotta sit through every single one of these things. But I'm working on doing the live coverage for these shows and usually writing up an article at the same time. So pretty much when the commercials are on, I'm still sitting at my computer working.
So it really depends on what day it is. Like if it's Monday and I know that we got to do the hot tags, like I missed on Monday because I fell asleep, I try to work out and stay awake doing things like that. And then yesterday I stayed awake by posting stuff on the Ring Report, and just being ahead of the game there. So, yeah, I'm following in Tony's footsteps. Now, Callum, tell us all about how you skip SmackDown.
Not the best steps to follow and follow through.
I skip both because, believe it or not, I'm actually asleep during Raw and SmackDown because they're not exactly on very convenient times for.
Yeah, that's true.
So, and if I was to skip any of one, I would skip Raw rather than SmackDown, but that's neither here nor there. I haven't watched either. Well, the last 2 episodes are the only ones I've watched the whole way through in about a month or so, because I gave up on WWE a little bit after Extreme Rules because that broke my soul. So so I took a break from watching the live thing and just watched the YouTube clips, but then I thought, it's the shows after SummerSlam, they're going to do something important here, and if I watch the YouTube stuff, I'll know exactly what they've done by the video descriptions. So I had to watch them. And
now,
because
do you feel better after Raw and SmackDown this month?
There's more stuff happening, so that's good to know. I don't know exactly where, and I know about at least half of it will disappoint me, but that's part and parcel of being a WWE fan. But I'm still in the boat of I can skip through all this stuff because I record it on my TV and watch it the day later, so I can just fast forward all the commercials. It just makes the whole things easier.
Yeah, the lack of commercials, sometimes if they do it in the UK and I can find an episode in advance, it makes it so much easier, even for Raw, just to not have those commercials.
It's unbearable sometimes, especially because I don't know if it's the same for every market, but I get the same damn commercials every goddamn time. And I am so sick of, in particular, little lungs in a great big world. Hate that shit with a passion. I cannot stand this. I don't know what the fuck the thing is supposed to be, but it's like a green fluff ball of stuff singing about Cricket Wireless or something.
It's the Cricket Wireless. cricket. It's not cricket, but
Yeah, it's like a
thing.
koosh ball or something. I don't know, but that like it's so tone deaf. It's like one of the fucking outros almost. Can't stand that one.
It's I mean it's one of the worst things being a WWE or wrestling fan in general, like which is saying something, is the fact that obviously with advertisers, you'll see the same adverts repeatedly because only certain advertisers work on certain TV stations. So there's a limited market in that regard, and then there's also the long-held belief that wrestling fans are morons, essentially.
Yeah,
and
and it's like we need to
shit.
beat you over the head with the fact that Taco Bell is selling nacho fries now.
Yeah, so you get a very, very limited market of people that are willing to advertise on wrestling stuff. So that's why you get the same stuff over and over again, and it's usually stuff that's very annoying and spoken to you as if you're 10 years old.
What are some of your favorite, like, WWE partnered commercials? Like, they have the cricket ones now.
It's certainly not the Dolph Ziggler one of "You're on fire" and all that stuff. No, it's certainly not that one. Ugh.
I mean, there was that one where Enzo tried to fuck a chicken. That was kind of fun.
What?
Well, that was the KFC one. The KFC.
Oh, that's right. He did do that, didn't he? That's bizarre. I really like the YJ Stinger commercials. I guess that's just because I was a kid when they were airing them.
YJ Stinger?
The YJ Stinger. It was like an energy drink by Stacker 2. And they had commercials with John Cena and Chris Jericho and Triple H. And those were fun to me.
I honestly can't remember a single WWE commercial that I ever liked, really. Unless you kind of count the Karate Fighter stuff before,
Milton Bradley.
Like, what was it, like King of the Ring or something like that? They did that. And it was like them actually like fighting with them. Like that stuff was kind of cool.
I don't think that was more of a like a sponsor. Than
Yeah,
a
that was a promotional tie-in kind of thing. But that's the closest thing I can think of. Yeah,
what about you,
commercials in general suck. Yeah. No, I don't really. I didn't watch you guys' real commercials because obviously different market. So
yeah,
I just got the regular British commercials.
Do you get the same commercials for the video games?
I guess I assume so. Yeah, it's just that I don't really remember any of them. It's like I avoid commercials like the plague. So even if they're
even when you were a kid.
Yeah. As soon as the commercials came on, I just switched to another program and hoped that it was on.
Oh, you know what? Snap into a Slim Jim.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Like, I liked those because I liked Randy Savage. There you go. That's simple. It's just like, hey, Randy Savage, eat some fucking beef. All right, cool. That's how, commercials in general, they bug the shit out of me because they try to be either like purposely annoying or they don't realize that they're annoying and they think that they're funny. Like, I hate that, oh god, I can't even think of the name of the thing, but Flo, the insurance, Progressive, yeah. I can't stand that one where they're singing that song, or pretty much anything with her. Any of those kind of things are annoying. Geico commercials can be funny, so I don't mind Geico once in a while, but when something tries to be like cutesy or like it tries to be catchy, it usually just bugs the shit out of me. And more often than not, I tend to take the commercials and just mute them because they're annoying. And even when it comes to the SummerSlam, the Super Bowl, and people are saying like, these are the best commercials, I'll watch them and I'll be like, I hate every single one of these. Just show me what the product is. Tell me how much it costs, and that's the end of it. Or maybe don't even tell me how much it costs. Just be like, hey, at Applebee's, we got this new chicken sandwich. Come out and try it. It's fucking good. And if it's good, I'll go to Applebee's and I'll get the fucking sandwich, Like, you don't need to do the whole, like, whoa, we're two idiots in Sonic, and we're talking about how these milkshakes are spilling all over the place or something. It's like, I don't have a Sonic around me, and if I did, I'd eat there because the food's good. The end.
Do you think Sonic? I think Sonic sucks, personally.
I've had a couple good things there. They're chili cheese tater tots. They're pretty good.
All right.
So there you go. Just the commercial that goes, hey, you might want to check out Sonic. They've got some pretty good chili cheese tater tots. And then I'll be like, all right.
All right.
That's how simple it needs to be. I've even said before, it would be great if there was a commercial that just had a black background, white text, and it said, "Go to Arby's," or something like that. And that was it. And it was 30 seconds of that. Because everybody would be used to this whole, like, the volume gets louder on commercials. If you don't know, by the way, the reason why the volume is louder on commercials is because when they've got this range of, like, say 0 to 10 as, like, the full range of what the volume can be on a broadcast, and they reserve the right for, like, explosions and stuff to be at that, like, 9 or 10 type level on TV shows. So an average TV show might be a 6 or a 7, something like that, maybe an 8. But commercials, they know that they have a limited amount of time, so they just go and max out 10. So that's why commercials just kind of like, and then it goes back to the TV show, and it's all,
Really?
you know, yeah, really annoying
I
and
learned
obnoxious.
something today.
And with that kind of mentality, it makes me go, oh, screw this and just mute the damn thing. But if something were to be dead silent and everybody's used to getting screamed at, everybody would kind of go, wait a minute, what happened to my TV? And turn around and look. And then bang, there's a little thing that just says #Burger King. And then they'd be like, oh, look at that, Burger King did something like that. Oh, cool. And then they might go to Burger King instead of just being like, well, we've got this burger. Oh, shit, it's all over the place. There's stuff. It's like, fuck you. So I guess the answer is, what do I do during commercials? I get really annoyed.
Yeah, I think we need a commercial break after that.
Yeah. All right, so if you would have imagine if I just did the rest hold right now and just pissed everybody off and brought that back immediately.
Yeah.
Welcome everybody to the rest hold. We are going to talk about the Smark My Words of the week. That's my obnoxious commercial voice. Yeah. So I'm sitting at my computer, typing out more shit. Question number 2 from Peter Piccinini. Do you think WWE should have brought back Alex Riley in the Miz and Daniel Bryan feud? If I booked Miz, says I had a better rookie, A-Rai comes out, cuts promo, Bryan beats the crap out of him, Miz gets away.
No, and here's why. They did that in 2010. We don't need to revisit anything from 2010.
I'd be okay with it. I liked Alex Riley.
If he doesn't have any issues with WWE, and usually people in his position don't have any issues if they're getting paid, then yeah, sure, why not? It'd be quite interesting just to put him in a match or a segment and just have him getting beaten up by Daniel Bryan.
He kind of strikes me as the Nexus in the vein that they were supposed to be, this is the future, these are the new big people, they're gonna be huge, and then they're nothing. And like,
I think he could have gone somewhere though. Like, he had a good look, he was good on the mic. I didn't think he was necessarily bad in the ring. He wasn't like some, technical genius or anything like that. But in an era where he had a lot of people that were worse than him, I was like, all right, I like Alex Riley. I'd give him the Intercontinental title, that type of thing. Didn't work. Then he became Steel Horse.
yeah.
Let's see here. What do you think of wrestlers being billed from a fake hometown? Like Carmella is from Boston, not Staten Island, or Sasha is not from Boston, but from California. I didn't know this, actually.
That's not true at all.
Okay, then that's why I didn't know it.
Sasha is from Boston. Okay,
They shut him down, yeah.
Yeah, just because, well, that's why you wouldn't hear that about Sasha, but wrestlers have been booked from a fake hometown forever, right? Like,
I'm pretty sure some people aren't from parts unknown.
Like the Road Warriors, they're not from fucking Chicago. They're from Minneapolis. But according to the rumors, they got extra intense when they were in Chicago because they're like, well, this is our fake hometown. We got to really bring it for our hometown crowd. That's not really our hometown.
Well, it's just WWE has a mentality towards certain parts of America and certain towns. I mean, do you notice that on certain episodes of Raw, they don't say where they're from? They don't say what city or what location they're coming from because they realise it's a small town that no one will care about.
But
Really?
if it's close to somewhere, they'll be like, we're in the shadow of Atlanta.
Yeah. So they have like so they'll say which arena they're in, but they won't say, or they'll say what state they're in, but they won't actually say the town because
Not
they're
like
embarrassed by it or whatever.
like Sioux City, Iowa, or whatever it was.
Yeah, so they'll just like say whatever the stadium's name is, and or just say we're live from Monday Night Raw, and then it's just like okay. But in certain places, that if we're in New York, yeah, of course we're going to say we're in New York because New York's like big time, and so they'll change certain people from like if they're from some crappy town in Idaho, say they'll just say, "Oh, okay, they're still from Idaho, but they're from the capital, so Boise or whatever."
Well, look
Just
at that, yeah.
always build up.
Carmel's from Spencer, Massachusetts.
Yeah, but they like the name the Queen of Staten Island because like the idea was that they were originally all from like Jersey or the New York area, like that entire collective. So
Yeah, it makes sense. You know, it's like that's her gimmick. Kind of the same
And
as if you build the Undertaker from Death Valley, cool. If you build the Undertaker from like I don't know where in Texas, then it's just kind of like, oh, so he's some dude. Okay.
yeah, if it fits the character, then it's fine to change the location.
Why was Ultimate Warrior parts unknown? Why wasn't he like some moon base or something like that? Because he's fucking out of this world.
I don't know. He's the only one that ever actually referenced parts unknown.
Because he probably like he knows where he's from, but he like when people tried to write it all down, they decided, oh, this is just too bizarre. We'll just say you're from parts unknown.
They're like, all right, what's your height and your weight and where you're from? And an average person comes up and he's like, yeah, I'm like 6'3", I weigh 215, and I'm from I don't know, like Boston, Massachusetts. Let's just throw that out there because we were talking about it. And then they're like, okay, next, where are you from? Well, they're calling me the Undertaker. I don't think I really should be from Texas. Where do you think I should be from? Well, Death Valley. That kind of works. You're 7 foot tall, 328. Okay, yeah, whatever like that. Warrior, what are you from? From the mountains of... And they're like, oh, fuck this. Just run to the ring, asshole. Like that kind of thing. It's like... Yeah. I never really paid too much attention to where people were billed from. I have no idea where, like, Nia Jax is from.
You know what's funny, though? It annoys me that they won't announce the girl's weight.
They do with Nia.
Do they?
They did.
Yeah, they did. They make special. They make special compensation for the bigger girls. Let's put it that way.
At least what they do in like this type of era, though, at least it's kind of just like weighing in at 230 pounds or whatever it is, instead of going like weighing in at oh damn, like they would have done in the Attitude Era, you know? Like,
yeah. I think the only time I really pay attention to if it's somebody's like what their town is or whatever, where they're billed from, is when it is their hometown, because then I know I can at least predict that they're going to lose. Makes it pretty straightforward.
That's a good point, yeah. Suddenly they're in Toronto and Natalia's wrestling and she's fighting like Alexa Bliss or something like that, and it's like
throwing the sharpshooter and
yeah,
they're gonna do this thing.
I mean she's from Calgary anyway.
Well,
yeah,
nobody knows Calgary, Callum. Toronto's the big city.
I'm from Winnipeg, idiot. I'm an ignorant American. To me, I literally had this conversation last night. I was trying to figure out because they advertised that this set of tapings that's happening, I think on Thursday or now it's Friday and Saturday with the NXT UK. They advertised Rhea Ripley and Dakota Kai to be fighting for the NXT UK women's title. And I was like, wait, aren't they from New Zealand? Well, Rhea Ripley's from Australia, so I already got that wrong. But I pretty much, New Zealand to me is like, you're just Australia too. And I am utterly confused about this whole UK thing because Australia and the New Zealand, they're not the UK, right?
Well, it's, I guess...
Not anymore, no.
I didn't think that they were.
they're a former colony of the UK.
It's wrestlers that are... making their names in the UK, right?
Yeah, they have a much bigger presence in the UK market than they do anywhere else. I wouldn't say that anywhere else in the world, but the Australian and New Zealand wrestling leagues are kind of in a development stage at the moment. So they need to travel through Europe to try and make a name for themselves, really. Okay,
because I was like, I know I don't know shit about some other areas that I'm not a part of, because I honestly, part of me just does not care. Like I've said before, we should just merge a lot of wrestling things. I think we should merge a lot of countries. I think we should merge a
I
lot
would
of
hate to see
states.
you in
Yeah, we're
any
not putting you
position
in
of
charge of it,
power
though, with Trump
of
or whatever.
anything.
Well, see, it's in a good way though, because like, do we need West Virginia? Can't it just be another part of Virginia? It'd be a lot easier to deal with. Can't we just have North and South Korea merge and just be Korea? You know, Dakota,
Well, you also said
Carolina.
you'd get rid of Japan in favor of one big China. So no, I don't want to see you.
Well, maybe
get a
Japan
position
takes
that-
over China, then it's just one big Japan. I don't know.
Oh,
I gotta
God. I
gotta
go
go to
through
the
World War
markets.
II lessons now.
And I gotta like. It used to be easier when Russia was like half the fucking world, like that kind of thing. Because then you only had like, do we need Rhode Island? No.
So you
Rhode
think
Island
Rhode Island
should-
should be replaced by Russia? Like,
Well, maybe not Russia, but I think if the United States are really all that united, we should just be America. We don't need to classify ourselves as the United States of America. And if New Zealand and Australia are fighting for the UK title, they should be a part of the UK. Fuck it. And just make this easier so I don't have to remember all these goddamn countries and all these states and stuff.
okay, here's your commercial break. Do you hear how Tony's talking, folks? This is why sleep is very important.
I thought you were going to turn this into a vote against Randy
Trump
Orton.
thing, yeah, I was going to go. Oh, no, I was going to go for the Trump thing instead.
This is why you should vote Democrat in the next election and vote against Randy Orton in the 2019 Sexiest Superstars tournament. I think the point being, if Sasha is from Boston and she gets billed from California or the other way around or something like that, they're on opposite ends of the country, so we don't need to merge those states.
And also it makes for a good pun. Bosstown.
Bosstown? Yeah, okay. I like that. You can't really do anything with California.
God, you should be work for WWE. You could do Michael Cole's voice, guy, with that sort of stuff.
What?
We're here in Bus Town, and it's bus time.
Isn't that a thing, or did I just make that up?
I mean,
don't remember
it's
them
only
ever
when they're in
saying it.
Boston, actually.
That seems obvious to me. It's Bosstown, right? Like,
Didn't occur to me.
okay. Hire me, WWE. I'll be a bigger sheet for you than Michael Cole.
Let's see here. Do you think Bailey and Sasha can be saved? I don't know. It
I think
depends
they
if you
already
need
have been.
you need to like take them to church or if you need to take them to Alcoholics Anonymous. How are we saving them here?
I think I assume I can't be certain, but I assume he's going by the logic of presenting. Could they be as over now as they were during the height of their NXT runs?
I'm assuming so, and I think that they're fine. Their feud was the shit, but they got rid of it, thankfully, and they should never ever go back to it ever again. But they're fine.
Can you imagine how much spotlight they'd have if they were on SmackDown right now?
I don't think they'd have too much more than what they currently have.
I
Really?
imagine Bailey
I thought-
probably would have turned on Sasha at SummerSlam and then got cheered, and then people would have been like, you weren't paying attention to me enough, and I'm going to try to be a heel anyway.
I mean, if they were on SmackDown, they'd be sharing the spotlight with Charlotte, Becky Lynch, Asuka, the Iconics, Carmella. It's a crowded field.
Well, we can
SmackDown.
write Asuka out of that conversation currently because they're just. I'm so sad
Well, yeah,
about Asuka.
True, but it's a bit of a crowded field in SmackDown. Like in Raw, the only thing you really have to worry about is like Ronda Rousey and whoever's fighting for the title, and then other than that, you can just be in a prominent position because it's a longer show. I mean, just because they're constantly fighting the Riot Squad, that's just WWE being lazy with their booking.
That's
They
because
could
they
do a
love
lot of other
Tony.
things.
That's because they love Tony. They just want Tony to be so happy. So they're like, here's the Riot Squad versus Sasha and Bailey for the 10th time.
But we added Ember Moon into the mix. That's basically all they've done.
But I mean, to be saved, I think they don't really have to be saved from the position they're in right now. They're never going to be as big as they were in NXT or when Sasha first came up because they've been hurt too much. And even if Sasha was to go on a big run, and even if she was the one who was chosen to beat Ronda Rousey for the title, she won't be as big as she was when she first came up from the NXT to the main roster.
Well, I think Sasha Banks can always manage to be a big deal because, passion shines through. And She has it in spades. Once all of the Ronda Rousey stuff dies down, and I hated what they did on Raw, but once all that goes away, I definitely think Ronda Rousey will be Sasha Banks will be a staple of the women's division always. Kind of like, this isn't a good comparison, but you know how you can always go back to the Big Show, and how Big Show was always somewhat in the main event scene, or Kane, even when they weren't. You know,
well, it's the boss show.
Well, that's the way I see Sasha. She'll always be a main eventer whenever they need it.
Yeah, but if you have passion in spades, that's one thing. But once Shayna Baszler comes in, all those spades are going away.
That's true. She is the queen.
She's gonna fuck her up. Not gonna happen necessarily.
And I'm gonna love every second of it.
This one I thought was really kind of funny because I didn't know anything about it ahead of time, but I looked it up. It says Peter's question is, which action figure is worse, Renee Young's or Ronda Rousey's? They're both kind of shit.
I've only seen Ronda's, so I'm gonna say Ronda. I'm gonna look at the Renee real quick.
I have to say, just as a general rule, I've not seen, like, especially since 2016, I've never seen a good women's wrestling figure.
Really? I haven't paid any attention to it. I haven't bought a wrestling figure since
they
God
all look
knows
terrifying.
when.
Yeah, they all look terrifying. Especially those dress up dolls that they put out as well. They look absolutely nothing like the person they're meant to be representing, and you still have to get all the like photo opportunities of the like women like Charlotte, whatever, next to her action figure, and like you just look at them and go, okay, that's not you. That's like someone. I don't like. You can't even place it because it's just, and they all look pretty much the same.
Just like a generic like Barbie face kind of thing.
Yeah, they all have like just the generic Barbie face, and then they're just dressed up differently compared to the first. It's just like, do you not go to any effort whatsoever on this stuff?
So Renee's is really bad.
Her hands are huge.
Renee's is really bad. I don't know. That Ronda Rousey one is a mess.
The things that stood out to me were
terrible.
Renee's hands are really huge, and what's up with the belly button thing with Ronda Rousey? It's like they wanted to have her without a shirt on, and then they decided to just kind of paint over it white. Looks like that to me, at the very least.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with Ronda just because that doesn't look anything like her. Renee's I can kind of make out, but Ronda's no.
Yeah, I think the Ronda one is worse. Which is it's such a juxtaposition with the characters that they look like in the WWE games, because they look so realistic. And just because just because action figures, are they still really a thing? Even
for Zack Ryder, they are.
They kind of have to be, really. I mean, that's the only thing he's clinging on to.
I don't know. I mean, I know that like action figures are kind of one of those tangible things that people, if you have that kind of mentality, a video game's not going to be able to satisfy you. But I don't know what kids are up to nowadays because people thought fidget spinners were a thing. So that just threw me for a loop because it's literally like a cat toy and it got popular. So I don't know what's up.
People over there, that's what's up. Okay.
I like that a lot. That was really good. I haven't heard an R-Truth one in a while.
What do you guys think of the pop figures?
The what?
The pop figures, the vinyl Funko Pop things.
I got a bunch of free ones of those of like different comic book characters and stuff. If you guys want to check out, I did unboxings for them because people were sending them to me for a while. And I only have one wrestling one. I have Randy Savage, but it's up above like the shelf above my head right now. And I don't collect those kind of things, partially because I don't want to spend any money on those, but they're kind of fun.
Callum, you seem like somebody who just not care for these things, am I right?
I only have one. I have a Luke Skywalker one, and that was bought for me by someone. So
which version of Luke?
New Hope version.
Ah, damn! I was hoping that it would be Return of the Jedi.
So I have a handful, but I did not buy any of them. They were all given to me by my ex. I have a Finn Balor, a Batman, Betty from Riverdale, Macho Man Randy Savage, and oddly enough, Kevin Owens.
Which macho?
Um, he's got like the orange trunks.
Yeah, that's one I have.
Yeah, that's a good one. I really like that. So I don't know if I would spend money on them myself, but I really like them.
Yeah, they're good little trinket things to put on top of my desk, so it makes it look a little bit less cold and uninviting, sort of. Because I have like my desk setup is kind of like, oh, I've got my sunglasses hanging up next to me on a little hook, and I've got my keys hanging up on another thing, and kind of like very functional. And then it's sort of like, oh, there's Black Panther and Yellow Jacket and Deadshot and Batman and Macho Man Randy Savage. So it's kind of like, okay.
I will say, if they do make Gallows and Anderson pop figures, I may buy what I'm missing to just get the full Bullet Club, and then I can have like a little shelf of Bullet Club pop figures, and it'll be like, hey, there's some personality,
Do they have a really big Yokozuna?
They should.
If they
They
do,
don't.
I might end up buying that one because that one would be kind of funny. Just have like this, it's like triple the size of like a normal Funko Pop. Like that'd be pretty funny. Yeah, action figures. Ronda Rousey's and Renee Young, they both suck.
I think the Jack Pacific ones were always better.
Which ones were those?
Like the Shawn Michaels one that we talked about.
Like from when we were kids.
Yeah.
Yeah, I used to like those a lot because that rubbery kind of thing to it, like I like that. But I used to, rip off the heads by accident every once in a while. Like Goldust, for some reason, his head was a mess, so you'd have to like super glue the head on or something, or do a match where it's like, oh no, he lost his head from the stunner, like kind of thing. Let's go to another Peter question here. Do you think that Evolution will be a yearly event? I might be at Evolution, and I know you are worried about the New York crowd ruining it, but if Stephanie is in the ring with a mic, do I have a permission to start a shut the fuck up chant?
Well, Peter, if you go to an event and you're looking for our permission, as long as it's not during a match we care about, you can start whatever chant you want, buddy. Yeah, Evolution's going to be a yearly event.
I don't think so.
I think absolutely.
I'm looking at this saying they get a lot of attention this one time around, and I think that if they're smart, unless it's so overwhelmingly like, more people sign up for the network than ever, tons and tons of people love everything about it, I think it's better to leave people wanting more than to do it a second time and have it not have that pizzazz to it anymore, and then people thinking that it failed. I think it's more of a statement than anything else. It's just kind of like, look, we did this. That proves that that's the next step forward. And then to not have to be like, all right, every October we're going to do the all women's thing. You know what I mean? Because after a while, what are you going to do? You're not going to be able to bring back all these legends over and over and over again and for it to matter. It's kind of tough.
Oh, they'll absolutely do it again. They might not call it Evolution, but they'll do an all women's show. At least one. I think they'll start doing two or three. Then probably two at most, but potentially three if they decide that this has gone successfully. They'll do, especially if they're going to continue the relationship with Saudi Arabia and stuff like that. They're going to need to at least balance it out with one women's show a year.
That's a good point. I forgot about that.
And you know how they did TLC, and it was like every match is either tables, ladders, or chair match, and then they dwindled it down to one. With Evolution or with the all women's show, it might be, here's all these legends, and then it just becomes, hey, here's the best showcase of the legends of the women we have now.
And that'll suck.
What? I mean,
you can't say that.
Yeah, once NXT comes up and stuff like that. I mean, if they put more NXT people in, because most of the NXT people are better than the women on the main roster anyway. But it's more of a sense that, yeah, you start off with the legends, and you occasionally just start to slow that down every now and again. Maybe try and get a few people from, Stardom or whatever to make one-off appearances. I'm sure you could probably arrange that. But then once you have a bit more of a balance and a firm footing off this first, hopefully successful show, then, yeah, of course they'll go back to it as often as they like to.
I guess we'll see. I hope
yes,
if they... Good.
I was just gonna say, yes, you can do a shut the fuck up chant towards Stephanie McMahon, especially if she's playing heel right now against Ronda Rousey, and she opens up the show saying how great all the women's stuff is. Yes, you can do it because she should be consistent. Shut the fuck up, bitch. Just do you. If you're gonna talk and all be heel all the time, then say whatever you want, and I'll boo you and get a go and have a fun time doing it. But then don't come out and say, but all the women are so fantastic and amazing, and not this woman because I'm feuding with her right now, but she's still really good because like she does all this great work for charity and stuff like that. It's like, fuck up, like fuck off entirely.
Yeah, and like I know we've talked about this before, and I'm not against the fact that they've completely separated the person from the character, and nobody tweets in character. That's fine. But if you're gonna appear on television and 1 week be in character and the next week be an ambassador, it's just fucking confusing. Like Triple H does the same thing. He's like, I'm so proud of NXT. Oh, by the way, I'm an evil authority figure and I hate Daniel Bryan or whatever. It's like, come on.
What do you think is going to be the end tally of how many chants for women's wrestling are going to happen at Evolution? 15? 40?
It depends how good the show's going.
Yeah, let me see the card.
I think you'll start off early in the night with a good number of chants for it, but then if the show starts to wobble a little bit, then they'll start getting less and less. I think it's just unless they have a few spurrers in the crowd to try and get the stuff going, it's hard to say right now.
Right now, I really don't want to say this, but I'm very concerned about what the main match on that card is going to be, because it really looks like they're moving towards that Ronda Stephanie match I joked about. Like
it'll be Ronda Nikki Bella.
Really, Nikki Bella's going to come to Stephanie's aid?
They'll just put her in. They'll put her in the match. Like
they're not gonna. We're really just going with this. Hey, I respect you, strong, independent woman. Let's go.
I hope not.
And then they'll just turn on her in an episode of Raw, just like, yeah, we're with you, strong, independent women, and all that, and then she'll just elbow her in the back or whatever, and then then it's a feud.
Well, but then they're never consistent with the Bellas. Never forget, she's told Brie she wished she died in the womb.
I wish I could forget that. That was such a horrible promo. In the womb! Let's see here. Who do you think is the best, and who is your favorite world champion currently? The options are Universal, WWE, NXT, TNA, Impact, New Japan, Ring of Honor, and Lucha Underground. Okay, so Peter threw out the names out there, which was very useful for me because I don't follow any of these. So the options are Roman Reigns, AJ Styles, Tommaso Ciampa, Austin Aries, Kenny Omega, Jay Lethal, and Pentagon Dark. Since I don't follow any of them but the WWE side of things, I'm going to go with Ciampa.
I'd like to say there's no love here for Nick Aldis, the NWA champion.
Yeah, I mean, that is the focal point of All In, guys.
Do you guys think that Cody wins?
Absolutely. We'll get more into that next week.
Next week?
But,
shit. That's next week.
I mean, champion-wise, I can give just a quick rundown. I mean, Roman Reigns has only been champion for a couple of days, so I can't really say whether he's obviously deserving of the title, but I don't want to say he's great. AJ Styles held the championship for months and months, but it's been pretty lackluster. I don't think it's been very creatively motivated. Tommaso Ciampa's a great world champion, great heel, best heel in the company. Austin Aries, it's fine. I struggle. Impact Wrestling has been good, and I'm not going to say it hasn't been good. I just struggle with the small arenas. It really throws me off. Like, it just feels like there's 10 people watching it, and it really makes it difficult to sit through. Kenny Omega's an amazing talent. If it was Okada, I would have said definitely him, but the fact that it's Omega means that there's a little bit of room to maneuver. Jay Lethal's kind of feels like a stand-in champion at the moment, rather than because Dalton Castle got injured, so not really sure about that. Pentagon Dark's fine, but like he's not amazing. So out of those, I guess I'd agree. I'd go with either Ciampa or Omega, but I'd probably go Ciampa because he feels just like a big deal at the moment.
So Callum just ran them down, and Roman. We can't say Roman. He just got it. I would either go with AJ for the longevity or Omega for how he's actually going to be a part of pushing a brand forward. You could argue that point for Aries, but I don't like when Aries gets on the mic, he's got to throw shots at WWE and scripted promos, and I just don't like that because I think we need to move past that. So I'm gonna say Omega because he's had the championship almost longer than all of these other champions, except for AJ, and I don't think AJ is progressing the SmackDown brand, and I think Kenny is progressing the New Japan brand.
Although he has lost to Toru Yano in that time, so he's not really that great, is he?
Well, but no, he got his ass beat beforehand. Come on.
So I mean this in all sincerity and not just me being stupid with a pun. Is there a Pentagon Light?
No.
He used. It was an evolution of his character essentially. He used to just be called Pentagon Junior, and then
what he's called everywhere else.
Yeah, but I think it's a mixture of the fact that I think part of it is due to like copyright infringements over his name, where he can only use that name in certain areas, so they changed it to Pentagon Dark for certain other places that he goes to, and it's because he wears mainly black anyway, so it kind of fits his character.
Okay, so it's not like it's like the Sin Cara Negro, Sin Cara Azul, like he's like the evil version of a different one kind of thing?
No, there's only been one Pentagon. But yeah, it's just the way that his character appears. I mean, he breaks people's arms basically every single match, so he's a pretty dark person overall.
And there's no like other Agons, there's no like Hexagon Dark or like any of that kind of stuff?
How basic do you think indie wrestling is?
Listen, I've seen people be Kane in advertisements, so I don't put anything away. I know, but it's you never know. I mean, I've seen
people have a bit of creativity about it.
Hexagon's gonna feud with Pentagon, and they're gonna step into the octagon.
Yeah, that could happen. I mean, it's just kind of like, I don't know, Super Shape or something like that. It's the name of the fucking pay-per-view.
It's like Sesame Street produced it, like Sesame Street produced the wrestling show.
Oh, Oscar the Grouch is a heel.
Sleep is important. Sleep is important. Tony doesn't get enough.
Would Oscar the Grouch be a heel, or would he be a cool babyface kind of thing?
What about Oscar the Grouch? Like she'd be annoyed about her booking, so she turns into.
I'm cool with Oscar the Grouch. That'd be a good way to give her some personality. Why not?
Oscar the Grouch T-shirt coming soon to TeePublic.
I actually do have to write that down. That might actually be a good one. But let's see. Oscar the Grouch.
But while we're at
Nobody's ready for recycling day.
God damn it, guys.
So Ciampa.
Omega for me.
Let's go to guest 5 here. Hey guys, now that we have had a second UK tournament and we are getting a second Mae Young Classic confirmed, at this point it's already recorded and stuff, but guest 5 sent this in a while ago. Do you think that we will be getting a second Cruiserweight Classic this year? We kind of did.
This question, guest 5?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, I prefer guest 4, but you know.
Yeah.
See, he evolves. You know, he used to be guest 1, and eventually
he's
when
Dark. Yeah, he's gonna be guest Dark eventually.
Well, you got guest 5, you got Pentagon. There's the thing going on here. Yeah, we had the Cruiserweight Classic kind of in the tournament that led up to WrestleMania. And I think that the fact that they have 205 Live now, they don't need to do a tournament to highlight anything anymore. Same as how whenever they do this whole thing where they actually put the NXT UK stuff on television, I don't know when, they're doing their second set of tapings this week, and we still have no announcement of when they're going to air this shit. But once
Probably
they start
by
doing
December,
that,
January.
I should hope so. I mean, they should really start this. They should have started it a long time ago, let's be honest. They should have started it after the UK tournament to begin with. But I don't think we're going to get any UK tournaments anymore. And if we get some kind of an all-women's show, I don't think we'll get any Mae Young Classics anymore.
I think we'll absolutely continue to get the Mae Young Classic.
We might.
And
It is the
Like,
more
that is
politically
just their
motivated
thing
type
right
of
now.
thing.
Yeah, like that is just their thing.
If they were going to do one of those tournaments and continue it, it would be the Mailbag Classic, because that's the one that they have higher PR stakes about, and that's the type of thing that they can get away with going like, yeah, well, we always want to just showcase the women because they don't get as much of an attention as the other things. Once you have a UK
To
show,
be fair, they have so much to atone for with the women and
yeah,
so
that's true.
much to try to overturn. So, I understand it.
Again, every time that we criticize the fact that not everything is perfect on the women's division, doesn't mean that we hate the women's division. It's just a matter of being like, sometimes it's frustrating. But I don't think we're getting any kind of Cruiserweight Classics ever again. I think that if we do, it'll be something that they do on 205 Live, and it'll be something like, we're having a big influx of talent. Kind of like how there was, they always play around with stuff. In the past, we had this whole talent exchange between NXT and SmackDown. We've had the Raw and SmackDown Super Show type things.
We've had no talent exchange between NXT and SmackDown. I think you mean ECW and SmackDown.
Oh, ECW. I'm forgetting the fact that NXT morphed out of the ECW thing and stuff. Yeah, like they've done stuff like that in the past. So I think we might in the future see something where they go, hey, we need to bring an influx of talent into 205 Live. Let's do something where they say, we're going to bring back the Cruiserweight Classic, and we're going to showcase all these people from all over the world, and they're going to get a chance for a 205 Live contract. Something like that. But I don't think we're going to get a special tournament.
I have the 2017 Mae Young Classic song in my head. Can't get
Still
it out.
haven't used that, I don't think, for this year.
No, it's a different song this year, but I still have last year's. Just keep playing in my head.
I still don't even know what the lyrics are, but it's just like, it's just kind of like a little obnoxious after a while. One of those songs that, when WWE puts the same song out there a million times, a lot of the times I succumb to it and I end up downloading it. That wasn't one of them. I did listen to Good Vibrations the other day, though.
That's a good song.
Yeah. Everybody in agreement? No Cruiserweight Classic this year?
Not this year, no. And I'd be surprised if they brought it back. Just most of the people that were in the original, I won't say most, but a considerable number of the people that were in the Cruiserweight Classic got signed.
Yep.
And most people that, even if they're cruiserweights or not on the independent scene, they'd get signed up to NXT anyway first. And then they would just, if they're too small and don't think they'll be making an impression on the main roster, they just go to 205 Live.
Yep. Do you think they might sign Colin Delaney? They've been using him quite a bit lately.
What? I don't sign jobbers. Don't sign them. Just pay them the $50 or whatever that you pay them for one-off appearances. That's like, why do you have Apollo Crews onto a contract when you could just sign somebody for $200 for one night and then he could do the exact same job and have the exact same effect on the people that he's facing?
Isn't that sad? Because, Crews came in with a lot of buzz. It wasn't like, Crews wasn't James Ellsworth.
I'm not singling out, Crews or whatever, but, you've got people like Zack Ryder and Mike Bennett and
Kurt Hawkins.
Kurt Hawkins, Heath Slater on these pretty significant contracts. They're probably not as big as most of their top stars, but they're on yearly contracts, and if they lose a match on Raw or anything on those lines, it doesn't feel any more significant than if they just brought in Barry Dickface to an episode of Raw.
Oh man, I need to see signs now on the next episode of Raw of please sign Barry Dickface.
And yeah, they just bring him on to for a one-off appearance, and he gets squashed by the Authors of Pain or Braun Strowman or something. It's just it doesn't mean any different.
It's easier to keep the same person on the payroll.
I guess so. And it means they can't go to. It means they can't go to another place and become even more popular and make WWE look like they're inept.
And I think they're finally gonna do something with Apollo Crews, because maybe they're gonna put him with Dana Brooke in a romantic storyline. Yay!
Even though they flat out announced that he had a wife and kid.
Or did
before.
they? Oh fuck! I hate that. I hate when it's.
I hope he doesn't end up like her last boyfriend.
Well, if anything,
his career's dead already, so it doesn't really matter too much.
If anything, we'll see Apollo Crews' gear a part of Evolution, then, won't we?
Nah. What do we have? Oh yeah, we're still on guest 5 here. Also, do you think it's time for a tag team version of these tournaments? I think that's what the Dusty Rhodes Tag Team Classic should be turned into. WWE aren't great with dealing with tag teams, but NXT are and could benefit from it. Yeah, if we do get it, it would be the Dusty Rhodes Tag Team Classic, and I like the Dusty Classic. I think it's going to stick with NXT, though. I don't think they're making a main roster thing of that. Although, I'd be cool with it.
Bring outside talent in.
I'd be cool with them making it a full cross-branded type thing where it's like, look, all the tag teams on all of the shows compete. That'd be fun. Have like, I don't know, like I don't like Slater and Rhino, but they popped up. Like they can lose in the first round to the Mighty. I don't know why I'm giving them a win. They should lose in the first round.
Well, they don't kneel. I'll tell you, they don't kneel.
You know, like it should be. Oh, so they shouldn't fight Titus O'Neil then.
Real Neil Titus O'Neil.
Yeah, there you go. The Mighty don't kneel, Titus O'Neil. I think that the Dusty Rhodes Tag Team Classic should be kind of bigger than what it is, but I like these kind of tournaments when they have a little bit of fun with them. I still think we should have King of the Ring again. And for that matter, I think instead of the Mae Young Classic, they should have made it the Queen of the Ring or something like that. And we should have just kind of kept that going. But I'm all in for... I'm using all in now. I'm all totally up for a Dusty Rhodes Tag Team Classic again. Actually, did they do that this year?
Yeah, they did.
Yeah, they did with Undisputed Era. That's right. Yeah, make it bigger.
I really liked how the Mae Young Classic was the only place to see Nicole Savoy, and the Cruiserweight Classic saw Kota Ibushi and Zack Sabre Jr. I would really like it if it's like, here's a tag team tournament. Here's your one-shot Young Bucks in WWE. You know?
The Briscoes, or some other teams that I've heard of that I can't think of.
Or like, I know they're doing great things in Impact, but OVE, or Ohio is for Killers. Like, they're a great tag team.
Pentagon Dark and Pentagon Light.
Not a thing.
Should be. Then they can have a kid together and make Pentagon Gray.
Callum, give me another tag team.
Well, if you wanted to do the Pentagon thing, you go with him and Phoenix, his brother, actually.
Yeah, the Lucha Bros. I don't like that name, but they are the Lucha Bros.
The Lucha Bros.
I mean, you got
I like it.
You got Christopher Daniels and Kazarian.
Yeah, they definitely should be brought in somewhere.
I mean, there's loads of like Gallows and Anderson. They're not doing anything right now, are they? They're not signed to anyone big right now. Doesn't feel like it.
Yeah, I was actually, boy, this is bad. I was legitimately gonna say, what about Joey and Candice? She's signed to them.
Oh, you're talking about like Joey Ryan. I don't know who Joey Ryan's tag team up with right now.
Yeah, but there's so many cool ideas you can do. Bring in JT Dunn and have him team with Cassius Ohno, and they can beat Death by Elbow. You know?
There's. I mean, it's a good idea to just bring in some fresher talent through a tournament. It's a good way to just expose it to a lot of people, because even if the tag team, the tag team that wins will obviously get a shot on the actual roster, but it might find someone who the crowd reacts to well that doesn't win, and they get signed as well. And the tag team divisions in all shows could you do with some bolstering, just to at least get a bit more variety out there.
I think that we'll see more of a focus on the tag teams once Triple H gets more power. And
I'm waiting for that.
Maybe we do get the Dusty Rhodes Classic moves up from NXT, or just gets bigger in NXT or something like that. Because, I mean, we didn't have this concept before. Triple H seems to be more on board with, like, you know what? Let's bring some indie people in here. What's the harm?
You mean more on board with wrestling ideas?
Yeah, for the most part.
What a concept.
Let's go to who would your dream all-time baby faces versus all-time heels 5-on-5 Survivor Series Tag Team Elimination Tag Team match opponents be? This one, actually, you know what? This is one of those things where I had thought was a potential main event for us to do heading up to Survivor Series. And I'm going to leave this up to you guys. Do you think that we should save that discussion, or do you think we should just get out of the way on the mailbag here and do something else for, what was it, episode number 362 or episode number 364?
It's an interesting topic that you could probably go into a lot of more depth into. Maybe if we just do something we could make it a wider discussion for a main event, but we could just give our answers and we're not allowed to have any discussion over it.
Yeah, because like we can expand it for the main event. We could say, overall Survivor Series card kind of thing.
Yeah, or we could have to come up with a unified one because we're not very good at that side of things. So it takes us hours to decide that sort of stuff. But I think we could just give a quick answer now. Maybe just say somebody who you definitely would have on one of the sides thing, because let's face it, both us, all three of us would have Hogan on one side and Flair on the other side.
Absolutely.
I actually didn't.
Oh,
really?
I didn't have either of them on either of my teams.
What?
Are you going strictly by the fact that neither of those two really did much in Survivor Series or anything?
No, I went with who would I like to see as the 5 people wrestling the 5 people.
Oh, you wanted to actually see a good wrestling match.
Yeah. So, I mean, just putting it out there, I tried to figure out, I mean, you have to leave so many people off the list by only picking 10 names, but my group ended up being Shawn Michaels for the babyface side of things. Shawn Michaels, John Cena, Bret Hart, Steve Austin, and The Undertaker against the heel team of Triple H, Chris Jericho, Mr. Perfect, The Rock, and Kane.
It's an interesting one.
I figured balance out Michaels and Triple H, Jericho and John Cena, Bret Hart and Mr. Perfect, The Rock and Austin, Kane and Undertaker. But I'm leaving out Savage, Razor Ramon, Ted DiBiase, Mick Foley, Daniel Bryan. I would put even Big Show potentially on that list. Of course, Flair. There's lots of people left off there.
Wow, I'm surprised. I think me and Callum were more and the same idea of just doing an all-time 5-on-5 of the 5 best babyface, 5 best heels. I had Hogan, Bret for the babyface side. Hogan, Bret, Brock, Austin, Cena against Flair, Hunter, Shawn, Randy, and Punk.
Yeah, see, if I was to do my one, as I tend to do, go a bit more historical with it and stuff like that, I'd go Bruno Sammartino, Hogan, Sting, Goldberg, and Austin. And then on the heel side, I'd go Rock, Flair. I'm trying to think off the top of my head. So Rock, Flair,
Fake Diesel, Doug Furnace.
I'm trying to think because it's there's so many great heels, but I'm just trying to choose particular ones. Because I don't really want to put Triple H on it because I don't think he's that great. I might put Lesnar on there, just like a big monster powerhouse. Angle, heel Angle, and I put maybe I'm trying to think of a really good old school classic heel.
Harley Race.
Harley Race would actually be a good shout. Yeah, maybe someone like a Harley Race or a Vader. Vader would be great, actually.
Vader would be great to match with Sting.
So I think the only thing that everybody has in common is Austin Rock opposite sides. Or actually, maybe not even that.
I have them on the same side.
Yeah.
Yeah, I put Rock I always thought Rock was better as a heel than he is as a face.
Okay, so that's one thing we do all have in common. We all have The Rock as a heel.
I have him as a babyface.
Yeah, that's what
I did. Damn. Yeah, wait a minute. I forgot about that already. That quick. Yeah, so we can't even agree on
babyface, yeah. That's the only
Austin as a babyface. We all have Rock in the mix too.
So
but
maybe
we don't.
If we do want to create our unified version of it, then there is plenty of discussion for a minute.
Yeah, and it'll probably take a hell of a long time.
And then I have time to actually research it rather than just pretend that I've thought about it before.
The reason I didn't say anyone like Bruno is because I was thinking Survivor Series. So I started at the Survivor Series beginning,
Yeah.
But I didn't think, if we're going anywhere across promotions, that's a conversation for a complete 2
Well,
hours.
I'd stick to WWE because of the. I mean, I'd stick to WWE. I put Sting in my list, but it's like
Yeah.
I'd stick to a bit more like modern side of things, just because it is Survivor Series at that time and it's a WWE thing. So I wouldn't put people from New Japan or anything in it. But I think like if you stick it to North America, then it would be fine.
I'll put this out there for other people to decide when it comes to, because I haven't quite figured out exactly what we're going to do as far as planning out everything going forward. I need to figure out when we're going to put the mailbag in for October and different things like that. But if it comes down to it, and we're going to continue this discussion for like an all-time Survivor Series team, here are a couple suggestions. What would you like to see for a main event? Number one, we revisit this topic and we try to make essentially our Mount Rushmore of a Survivor Series team. We basically argue back and forth and try to figure out, we're going to pick a 5-on-5. It's not really a Mount Rushmore, but it kind of is, so I'd probably loop it under that. Number two, we somehow formulate this into fantasy booking teams in like the gang warfare type of idea that they used to do, where it was like the Road Warriors and the Ultimate Warrior and so team up and they are the Warriors.
Absolutely.
And we kind of make like the current roster and we go, all right, how many groups can we make out of this? And what team names would we go with? We could do something like that. Or we could do something along the lines of, say, an actual just like fantasy booking the Survivor Series card for this year. Because I don't really do fantasy booking for Survivor Series. I tend to do it only for SummerSlam and for WrestleMania. But those are three different options. Let me know what you guys think, and we'll get around to that probably episode number 362 or 364. It's looking like on my list. Probably 364 more than anything. Because, we'll figure it out. But, yeah, we have a wide range, and that'll be kind of interesting. Speaking of the whole fantasy booking type thing, another question here. Any dream matches you'd like to see at Evolution?
Well, they already killed most of mine.
His suggestion is AJ Lee versus Bailey. I honestly can't think of any kind of dream matches. I can think of some that could be kind of fun, but there's nothing I'm really clamoring for.
So I wanted to see, if we were going to have Trish involved, I wanted to see her either do the last time ever thing with Lita or do Trish and Lita against Sasha and Bailey. And I think people would have had a lot of fun with that. I would like to see like Alundra Blaze versus Natalya. Why not? I'd like to see AJ Lee do something. I don't know exactly what. Maybe against Alexa Bliss. Maybe against, I highly doubt they could work together, but maybe against Stephanie. I just think that there's a lot more potential with this than they'll probably end up utilizing.
Well, according to the rumors, take it with a grain of salt, AJ Lee won that poll asking, who would you like to see return, and supposedly they've reached out to her.
I think she'll be there, and I hope that if with the way they've already booked the card, I hope it's something with or opposite Caitlyn, because that only makes sense. But I don't know.
Mark D. Felice is coming out again.
Yeah, I'll be Mark D. Felice.
Anyone who goes into Evolution with any expectations that AJ Lee is going to turn up is kidding themselves.
They're going to be disappointed.
Yeah, they're going to be disappointed. If she does, then yeah,
and then awesome.
But you're probably disappointed what they do.
Expected. I just said what I'd like to see if they ended up actually getting her, but I don't expect it.
Well, you said you'd like to see her and Caitlyn do like match or team up.
Either one.
Because I don't want to see a match between those two.
I don't want to see any matches I've seen before.
Yeah, that's the thing. I want to see brand new things. The only exception I would go with is if they did, which they're not going to do, if they did Trish and Lita teaming up against like Alexa and Mickey, because then we've seen Trish and Mickey before. But at least that would be like well, we've got history together, like that type of thing. But even in that kind of context, it's not a dream match of mine. If I think dream match, I think of the things that I go, damn, that really would have been good. Like Shawn Michaels versus Daniel Bryan, or Undertaker versus Sting, or like those kind of Mr. Perfect versus Dolph Ziggler. I'd love to see these matches. Those are dream matches of mine. I can't think of anything for the women's division. Michelle McCool versus Charlotte, I'd be interested. I'm not going to go nuts that I didn't get it.
What about Asuka and Kairi Sane?
Nah.
I mean, you can see matches like that because they were both in the same promotion at the same time, so you can watch it.
Well, America hasn't, Callum.
But like
America
Asuka
can
versus,
watch it if you go onto YouTube or something and find it.
And Kairi Sane will eventually come up to the main roster. Then maybe they will have their match.
Yeah, it's difficult because I don't want to sound like too harsh with you, but none of the dream matches I've ever had in my mind have involved women's wrestlers because, especially in a WWE scenario, the matches are fine. They've only been like, I don't want to say a handful, but all the great matches I don't really mind about revisiting unless they have a feud built around them. So if it's like a one-off dream match, maybe something like, I don't know, Asuka versus Beth Phoenix, maybe. I'd like anything involving Beth Phoenix because Beth Phoenix got a lot of, and I know she's probably going to end up commentating on the show anyway. But if she was able to get involved in an actual match, because she had to deal with such a shit hand of people to wrestle, and it would be good to put her on with just somebody from this era that knows how to wrestle properly, and so she doesn't have to deal with like the Kelly Kellys and Eve Torreses and all that stuff, or like
Cameron.
or get Gail Kim back for one match.
Thought that ain't happening.
But like a Gail Kim versus Sasha Banks or a Gail Kim versus Becky Lynch would be a great match. But
Karma versus Nia Jax, book it.
I mean, part of me, the sadistic side of me wants to see Cameron versus Kelly Kelly, just because that would be like, I want to see how far they can go with the worst match on pay-per-view history.
So you guys don't think we'll get a rematch of the match of the century, Melina and Alicia Fox?
Nah, I think Melina's done.
She still wrestles.
Didn't she say that she retired?
She does some indie stuff, but she's claiming that she's, oh no, I'm done. But I'm sure she'll do a couple more before her time is truly up.
That'd be quite fun. I'd like to see Piper Niven against Nia Jax. That'd be kind of fun, just two
Piper.
behemoths going against each other.
I like Piper a lot. What about like a 2002 Victoria versus today's Nikki Cross in like a street fight or something?
That'd be cool.
Yeah, I think Nikki Cross can go against some of the more like hardcore ones. If Alinda Blaze can go, there's a lot of people that she could put on great matches. I think her versus Charlotte would be a good thing, but I know obviously they're going to do Charlotte defending the title or fighting for the championship at least.
Charlotte Becky, I'm assuming.
Yeah, so
in my dream card put Alinda Blaze against Alexa Bliss, thinking that they would do something more meaningful with Trish. So if Alundra can go, I'd like to see that entire match.
What about Santina versus Hervina?
No, no.
I don't know why the Alinda Blaze Alexa Bliss thing really makes sense. They're not really comparable.
Well, I just saw her. Basically, what they're gonna do with Trish, but with a different Hall of Famer, because I just thought that Trish would be, busy doing something else.
I just said like you wanted her to be something more meaningful. She's going up against the most winningest women's champion in recent memory. It's the big. Yeah, it's probably outside of Rousey or Charlotte. It's the biggest match you could possibly have.
But I do subscribe, even though I love Alexa Bliss, I do subscribe to the theory that she's not somebody that should be a 5 or 6 time champion or whatever she is,
Oh no, certainly not. But like, it's still like the narrative that they want to tell. And
yeah, you blew my mind the other day when you were like, "Yeah, this is Charlotte's 7th championship." It's like, what the fuck?
How many has Trish won?
7.
Oh, so Charlotte's gonna beat that for sure.
But But technically, one of Charlotte's reigns is a Divas Championship reign, so...
Well, they're not going to stop Charlotte until she gets to 16.
Yeah, I know, she's going to match Ric Flair's record at the very least.
I think she'll probably beat it.
Oh, yeah,
I wouldn't be shocked.
I mean, yeah, but how long did it take Ric Flair to get 7 world championships? Like 20 years? She's got it in
We held them longer, too.
Yeah, exactly.
Although at that rate, if you want to try to do it with that, then Sasha would probably be like super quick because her turnaround rate's fucking, a week.
Yeah.
Well, we were talking about Charlotte, and another question here is Charlotte Flair is the female Roman Reigns. Discuss. We kind of talked about this a little bit. That's why people booed at SummerSlam. They booed Charlotte and they cheered Becky, and that was completely against the narrative that WWE wanted to tell. Same as when people boo Roman Reigns.
I think it's
to a lesser extent, but
yeah, I think Charlotte is actually popular when she's facing somebody who's not as popular.
Yeah,
be right.
But yeah, I think Ruby would get a significant proportion.
Maybe now, but not when they were feuding. That's why she came to mind.
Oh yeah, but then
Charlotte a couple months ago was getting pops.
Oh yeah, definitely, and she's definitely not like she got pops for beating Asuka, so it's not like she's definitely not the most disliked person on the roster. Like Reigns is actually feeling like more popular and over than he ever has, like, especially since like 2015. But like there's still that significant fan base that just won't change her, and Charlotte has that fan base as well, just because she wins so often. But there's a difference between Charlotte Flair and Roman Reigns in the fact that Charlotte Flair manages to win most of her feuds and actually has like had plenty of moments and has always been presented as like the big deal, whereas Roman has always been so stop-start with everything.
Like,
well,
Charlotte
I think the bigger factor.
God,
you good.
Like, Charlotte's called the queen, and she's booked as such. They call Roman the big dog, and it's like, yeah, but he's probably gonna lose 3 out of the 5 main event feuds he has.
I think the bigger factor in not getting the same amount of negativity is when they've been pushing Charlotte, they've been also pushing other people. And when they've been pushing Roman Reigns, it's solely Roman Reigns. Where, for instance, Charlotte wins the title, she drops the title, somebody else gets a reign for a while. She bounces around and she gets the championships back and stuff, but she never feels like she's the one and only focus. Whereas Roman Reigns feels like even when he's not getting that title push, that they still just value him over some of the other things. Like, we had Roman Reigns versus Samoa Joe main event a pay-per-view where the WWE Championship was on it. And that's the type of stuff that I think gets under people's skin. Plus, Charlotte has had more people that she has feuded with other than one person. And Reigns has been pretty much stuck in a Brock Lesnar loop for like 3 years. He's had his feuds, he's had his temporary stuff with like, oh, I'm going to fight Jinder Mahal this week and stuff. But it's basically all been, when are we going to do the Brock Lesnar thing for the 8th time? And Charlotte doesn't have that. She's gone from Sasha to Bayley to Asuka to Becky. And it's not like we're just stalling to do this Charlotte and, I don't know, Peyton Royce thing or something like that. Like, you know what I mean? And
there's also the big distinction in the fact that when Charlotte was building her reputation and like developing these this collection of title reigns, she was a heel. She was meant to be hated, and then when they turned her, of course, it was like a little bit odd to start with, but it started to become more natural because like she's very good in the ring and she is a very likable person outside of like the monotonous promos, but which would make anyone dislike her. But other than that, she's actually a very likable person, and she doesn't come across as distinctly arrogant or anything along those lines. Whereas Reigns has just been stuck as the hero, whether we like it or not, for the entire time.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe we're going to feel this way about Charlotte now because Charlotte is going to be in a situation, especially with the Becky Lynch thing, where she's positioned as the hero, whether we like it or not.
Right.
So maybe
that's going to be a big factor going forward.
And all that's going to do is it's going to hurt Charlotte because she is somebody who was popular, but if she's being presented as the hero against somebody who the crowd thinks is the actual hero, or the person that's in the right in this situation, then her stock is going to go down. In the same way, Becky's stock is eventually going to go down because they're going to wear down the audience by constantly having her badmouth them or act like she's the heel.
So
I
going
know.
forward, do you think that Becky is going to be like the Shinsuke of the women's division?
I don't know
What's
what
she
you mean
gonna
by
start
that.
low blowing people?
No, just in that, like, they turned her, even though I don't think that's what people were wanting, and they're gonna try to push this. She's a heel so hard that it's just gonna become like Shinsuke, where it's like, okay, I don't like him as much now, and not in like a heel way, but just in like a I'm over it, get off my screen.
I actually like Shinsuke more.
Yeah, I think Shinsuke's so much better as a heel. It's more. I think it's going to be more of a case of like Daniel Bryan in 2012, where he'd been heel as world champion and then had all the yes stuff, been beaten by Sheamus, and then they insisted on keeping him heel for a long time before the Team Hell No stuff. It was like we're going to go through a period where they're going to fight with all of their might to keep Becky heel and make Charlotte the babyface until they realise that's a completely unworkable situation and change it.
Or until they change Charlotte heel to set up the Ronda Charlotte thing.
Yeah.
I hope that it's a quick fix, and I hope that they get to the 4 Horsewomen thing at Survivor Series, just so we can move past this quickly, because I think Becky and Charlotte, in the roles that they're in right now, it's just going to come across as annoying, because the people are going to go the opposite way, the same way they do with like a Reigns versus Samoa Joe. You know, people are going to cheer Joe, especially when he's beating on Roman Reigns. It's going to be the same thing with Becky and Charlotte.
Yep. So we might get more of a Charlotte equals Roman Reigns type thing over the next couple of months. Right now, not quite the case. Before SummerSlam, definitely not. And it's just going to get worse, I think. Let's move on to Andre's question. The WWE has been PG for a while now, trying to lure a family demographic, but my question is, has it worked? Because I didn't see no kids at TakeOver Chicago at all. Does this concern you guys, or do you see different? I didn't go to TakeOver Chicago, so I'm not too sure about that, but I think WWE, whether they want to admit it or not, they're PG-13. They're not PG. You look at the difference between, and here's another little history lesson. We used to have G, PG, and rated R, and then, of course, like X or unrated. PG-13 came about because of Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom, where it's a Spielberg movie. It's Indiana Jones. They kind of wanted it to be a PG movie, but they couldn't quite get that necessarily because of the whole scene where the guy's heart gets ripped out. But it's not fully rated R because it's just one scene. You can't get rid of it, and then it's sort of in murky territory there. The MPAA is notoriously messed up when it comes to what they consider this is leaning towards rated R, and this is whatever. Like, you can say the word fuck one time in a PG-13 movie. If you say it twice, you're rated R. It's like, why? You know, why is that the type of thing that matters? Why is there more of a stigma for a scene where, like, a woman is having an orgasm than a man is? It tends to be rated R more if that's the case. There's a weird type of sex doesn't go over well with the MPAA, but violence does. You know, you can have people get shot in the face in a PG-13 movie, but if you show a pair of breasts, it's rated R. It's a weird scenario like that. But if we're talking PG-13 and everything like that and PG, look at the way that movies are nowadays. Marvel movies, for instance, superhero films, they're almost all PG-13. Star Wars used to be PG, and with Revenge of the Sith and onward has been PG-13. I think WWE's PG-13, and they just don't want to admit it. PG is kind of like Pixar and Disney, that kind of stuff. WWE has The Undertaker and has, you know, cult type stuff and some sexual innuendo and some different things. They're PG-13.
And really, in the last few years, they've become a lot less PG. Like when they first started on this track in like, I don't know, from 2008 to 2010, it was really family friendly and goofy nonsense. Now it's like, it is a lot more serious, even if we don't like everything that goes on. There's a lot more serious conflict going on. It's not like R-Truth is gonna lose this championship match because, you know, this little 7-year-old is gonna throw water in his face. You know, it's become a lot more serious. I think they are moving towards TV-14, and I don't think they want to do it because the minute they make that jump, people are going to expect a lot more raunchiness from them that just won't fly in 2018. That's just me.
There's a lot of factors going into this in the sense that the reason WWE's PG is nothing to do with their fans in particular. It's to do with sponsors.
Yeah.
It's because they want to be with the right advertisers. Vince McMahon has always wanted to be presented as a family entertainment show rather than a wrestling show. And that's like the majority reason why they want to do it, because even though they were getting higher television ratings during the Attitude Era where there were a TV-14 or even beyond that, their sponsorships were going down because people wouldn't advertise with them because they associated with their product with sex, violence, and a lot of other and basically just like a pubescent boys fantasy. So now they are PG. That's the way to get deals with people like Disney or other prominent names that do go along a similar tone. The bigger issue is the fact that it doesn't work because, well, I say it doesn't work. It doesn't really make a difference because appealing to a family market hasn't worked in the slightest, because the average or the median age of wrestling fans has only gone up since the Attitude Era. In the fact that I believe now the average viewer the median age of viewers of Raw and SmackDown is in their 40s or 50s. Because the only people that I say the only people, but the majority of people that watch wrestling have been watching wrestling for a long time, and they're conditioned by it. They don't watch it because I don't want to come across with saying like, oh, wrestling's terrible, WWE's awful, or anything like that. It's not all the time. But a lot of the time, it's very good. But people watch it because they're used to it. It's like a soap opera. People watch it because they've always watched it, and you see less. I don't say you see less. I don't say particularly certain markets will be different and stuff like that. And I'm sure there are plenty of kids that are getting involved in the product and watching all that stuff. But if the median age is going up, there's only the suggestion that less people are watching it, at least by traditional means. Like they're probably watching it through YouTube or Twitter or any other social media platforms. So they're consuming the product differently. I don't know what the median age of the people that have the WWE Network is, but that's mainly a nostalgia trip anyway, because most of the content on there is archive stuff anyway.
Well, I mean, whenever I'm interacting with wrestling fans, it's usually people, even older than us, and they're always saying, oh, I started watching in the, Bruno era, and it's like, do you think they should just steer into the skid almost and stop fighting the diehard fan and saying, oh, fuck them, they'll always be there, and start pandering to them?
They can't do that because the issue is that they're a company that needs to be getting a new audience in.
Do you think that this wouldn't be an issue if they weren't a publicly traded company?
Not really. Potentially, but I don't know how much of a factor that really does. I don't really know too much about the economics of the side of thing. But it's sense that they need to continue being either a PG or at least maybe a TV 13 or 14 company, because they need to appeal to a younger audience. Because if they keep appealing to the current fan base, that fan base is going to die in a while. 20, 30 years, obviously, but it is going to die eventually. And then when they go, who's going to be there still? If the median age just keeps climbing, it just means that more and more people watching WWE that are in their 60s or 70s, and they won't be around forever. I mean, the guys who essentially the product is directed at anyway, it's only aimed to entertain one 70-odd-year-old man. and he'll go eventually as well, and then maybe things will like just adjust anyway. It depends
Did
on
you
what they
hear
want
the
to do.
earlier question, Callum? He's gonna outlive all of us. It doesn't matter.
Well, he'll outlive most wrestling fans because they're in their 50s and 60s anyway. So, but it's an interesting dynamic in the fact that I don't blame them for trying to be PG and appealing to kids, because like they need to keep trying to get a cyclical, fresh audience coming in. The main issue is the fact that it clearly isn't working.
I would be really curious. I mean, they're never going to release the information, but we kind of can't tell how well it's working unless we know like who buys what as far as the merchandise goes,
They have to reveal that.
and have some kind of, well, some things you can't know because you don't know who's watching at home. You know the Nielsen ratings, but Nielsen is awful.
Oh yeah. There's certain things that like they
you can't track.
Yeah, you
like,
you can't get accurate information as you want to. But like you said, they're a publicly traded company, so most of their stuff has to go out essentially. Basically,
like it would be curious to see like if like somebody, you know, those little clickers that you have when you're counting people, if they were to have, you know, everybody at like the gate for maybe a full year for house shows and pay-per-views and just count kid versus adult and just see like how many people are actually in the crowd. Because if you do look at the crowd, it does look like it's predominantly adults. You can still see kids, but you know, like there might be like a family where it's like 3 kids and 2 adults or something like that. And technically they outnumber that family, but then you might see a group of 10 30-year-old guys, and then it's like, all right, that just killed the family, you know, that kind of thing. I'd be curious about that, and you can't track who's watching, but maybe on every Monday Night Raw, the Nielsen rating is like, well, according to this, you know, you're the tracking for the 18 to 35 crowd, but it's like you got a family of 4, and it's just the kids watching, and the parent turns it on and walks into the other room. You know, it's hard to really kind of tell.
True.
But if it's not working, then they need to change it. And if it is working, then keep doing what you're doing. But I don't know. That's basically what it is. I don't know. Let's go to Howard. How would you feel for just a fantasy commentary team to have Mauro Ranallo and Jim Ross together on an episode of Raw or SmackDown? This would be Jim Ross from the Attitude Era. What are your thoughts? I think that they would talk over each other.
Yeah, it wouldn't work. They're both play-by-play guys.
Yeah. It'd be like two magnetically what's the poles? What's the word I'm thinking of? Not the attracted one. Repel.
Yeah.
They would repel each other. And it would be like Mauro would try to get a lot of stuff in, Jim Ross would try to get a lot in, and they would basically just kind of be repeating what the other one's saying, trying to be the more dominant one.
I'd say they'd both be like my lead announcers on, like, one would be the Raw guy and one would be the SmackDown guy. I'd put them both as like the lead announcers, and then you put like the classic great Jerry Lawler on, like, with Jim Ross, and then for Mara you probably put maybe Paul Heyman. Because he was always a good commentator. But you need someone who could just be like the color guy, or even just like the heel. Heel commentators work, especially if it's those guys. But yeah, I wouldn't put both together.
And it really wouldn't work, because one of them might try to be a color and then it would just come off as awkward. I know that they're both great. I can see why you might think it's a dream team, but the reason that JR works so well is because he always had tremendous color guys to play off of. You know, him calling it straight while Lawler was like, yeah, but puppies. You know, that's what made it work.
So, I mean, just to take this into a different discussion a little bit, when I was thinking fantasy commentary team, I was thinking, all right, Jim Ross, Jerry the King Lawler, they're the pairing, right? For like, if you're going to make like a 2-person team for who goes with Jim Ross, it's Jerry Lawler.
Yeah, I mean, it's as strong as it gets, really, for JR.
I would say, even though I don't think that Monsoon is a great commentator, Monsoon and Heenan, but I would love to see somebody else with Heenan. I don't know
Well,
who I would pair with
I
him.
liked-
Shivani?
Yeah, I mean they hated each other, so that would have been a bit of a situation. But yeah, I think I don't know. Maybe I'm trying to think of anyone else who's maybe Gordon Soley and Bobby Heenan. Soley was always quite good. He was a bit dry, but he was always quite matter of fact about stuff.
And I kind of like that suggestion of Morrow and Paul Heyman a little bit.
I mean,
Is like, that'd be kind of cool for like an
Yeah.
NXT type
yeah,
thing, you
yeah.
know?
I mean, thinking about it now, it's like either Paul Heyman or either Maranello and Paul Heyman, or I would have loved to have. I mean, obviously it's never gonna happen, but Maranello and Jesse the Body Ventura.
Oh, that'd be kind of cool.
Yeah, they would have been a good pairing.
Because
I like
Mara's
that.
always so like erudite with his words, stuff like that, and Jerry and Ventura would just call him out on all of that stuff or anything, or just call him a nerd ridiculous all the time.
He'd just be like, I don't know, like Morrow's just kind of going like, oh my god, whatever, and he'd be like, no, the facts. Just
Yeah.
kinda... And then I'd say,
inside job.
yeah. And then I'd say Cole and JBL are the two that match well to me.
When I say fantasy, I never put Cole in that sentence.
I like Michael Cole. I'd put him in there. I'd put him. He'd be my SmackDown guy.
He'd be like, oh, what's my mild fantasy team? It's like, oh, I can't ever get my fantasy one, but if I have to just like settle, then yeah, that's fine.
Well, see,
Yeah.
that's why in my mind you go JR and King for Raw. You go Cole and JBL for SmackDown. Ronaldo and maybe the Paul Heyman thing for NXT. And you know what? At that point, maybe you keep Heenan as a manager instead if you can't fit him somewhere else.
I mean,
I would throw Vince in there somewhere. He was so ridiculously perfect for what he was trying to do. And when I watch him now, I get even more interested because it's like he is the boss, obviously. So he's telling the story as he wants it to be told, you know, and that's something that interests me. Like,
it is interesting to watch back. I've been looking at a bunch of things from like 96, 97, and you can tell that he is very much pushing certain narratives, and it's kind of interesting for him to be like, well, you know, I don't know what's going to happen with this guy, like that kind of thing, and then, oh my god.
I would love to see him call a show in 2018 just to see what he's pushing. You know what I mean?
Roman Reigns.
Like outside of the obvious, like if he's like, wow, and what's gonna happen with the Iconics, you know? And he's really putting over the Iconics. So then, you know, oh, I guess they're gonna do something with them. But I don't know. I'd like to see maybe as a one-off, like a 1990 McMahon with a Corey Graves of today, you know?
That'd be interesting.
it'd be quite odd if he like he saw the Iconics and just went like,
She's
oh,
fat.
Peyton Royce isn't looking as a finisher used to. And then Dave Meltzer has the most immediate flashback or whatever. Oh my god, they were the same person all the time.
So Howard also puts a marry, fuck, kill for us. He says, a crazy fuck, marry, kill for you. Luna Vachon, Nikki Cross, and Crazy Mary Dobson. And Crazy Mary Dobson is Sarah Logan. So she doesn't do the crazy stuff on WWE television. She just does like, you know, Bobcat fart in the woods kind of thing on that kind of thing.
Isn't she a Viking now?
She's a Viking?
Yeah, they did some stupid bullshit story because they decided to not go with the stuff, that sort of stuff anymore, and say, oh, she actually has Viking heritage, and they came out with like war paint on and stuff like that.
So they watched
Like
Glow.
Well, they probably watched the like War Raiders and decided, oh, we'll just give you that gimmick.
You're married to him, right? You've got Viking blood in you. Yeah, let's do that.
So I mean, I've said before, I am not a fan of Sarah Logan in pretty much most ways. I don't think that she has a good character. Apparently, she's a Viking now. I didn't even know it. I hate the Riot Squad. I think that this gimmick is stupid. I don't think she's good on the ring. I think she's bad on the mic, and I don't think she's particularly like she's not on my. I mean, she was one of the people I knocked out of the tournament, so she's tough. But I still have to say, are we all going to agree we have to kill Luna? Because you can't fuck or marry Luna, right?
I mean, imagine the stories, though.
Yeah, like that's what I was thinking.
I mean, Sarah Dobson isn't particularly like my type, and she's boring. So at least with Luna, like,
You know,
You
there's
might
a
not
tension
survive.
in
You might
there
not
somewhere.
survive it, but like, like what an experience.
I think that this is a tough one because it's like, man, more than anything, I don't want to marry any of them. You know?
I'd marry Nikki Cross. That one I could say for certain.
I mean, like in character, they're all pretty unpredictable, so it would be.
Right? Yeah. I
But-
wouldn't want to marry a single one of them.
Well, I wouldn't. The only reason I wouldn't marry either Logan or Luna is because the voices, especially in Luna's case.
Nikki's got that accent that I don't like too, though.
Yeah, but I'm cool with
So
that.
it's like an even playing field almost for me with voices. As far as attractiveness, Nikki Cross is the best looking in my mind. Character wise, they're all horrible. And I have to kill Luna and I guess fuck Cross and marry Dobson. I don't know. Can I get a divorce really quick?
I'd marry Nikki. Fuck. I'm gonna say fuck Luna and then kill Logan.
Well, since just to be different, I'll let Callum give me all the war stories from being with Luna, and I'll fuck Sarah Logan. Probably end up in the backwoods somewhere.
I mean, she was with Gangrel for a while.
Yeah,
She
I
was?
mean,
Yeah, she was married to Gangrel.
they were married for many years.
Oh, you're talking about Luna. I thought you were talking
Yeah.
about Dobson.
Luna, not Crazy
Nah.
Mary.
I was like, wait a minute, I didn't know that Sarah Logan had a thing with him. I don't know. Howard, that was a tough one.
Yeah.
Let's go to Frankie. Thoughts on some people being mad when the revival did the heart attack on Raw? People were mad about that?
Oh,
They
did
were
you see
mad
a
that-
Bully Ray's tweet about it?
Yeah, go ahead, Callum.
Yeah, so Bubba Ray essentially just tweeted out along the lines of, I can't remember the specific tweet, but it was something just to the effect of, yeah, you shouldn't be doing that move, especially because it wasn't a finish to the match.
Yeah, he would have been fine with it if it was a finish, but it was like you used it as a spot, and they kicked out at 1, and nobody bought it.
Well, first of all,
know?
the matches are all like created by producers, and oddly enough, that match was produced by Devon Dudley. So
Oh,
he's
it's
getting
not
mad at
yours, Devon.
yeah, so he's getting mad at his own brother and part of that. I mean, maybe they would have just thrown it in as like just a little tribute anyway, but I think it's fine. It's just a tribute.
He gets a text message later. It's Devon. Fuck you. Yeah, it was a tribute. Like I didn't see the problem. You know, Jim Neidhart died. They figured, hey, let's do that move to show, like, you know, to honor him. Like, what's the problem?
Where does that
If
rank
they would
on
have
your
had,
greatest
like-
finishers, like for tag teams of all time?
It's all right. There's worse.
It doesn't age well. It doesn't.
It's
look,
really simple.
yeah. It doesn't look very impressive now.
Yeah.
I think if you'd done the heart attack and then it like obviously it was Hart, the one that was delivering move, but if it had been Hart holding him up and then it transitions to the sharpshooter, then it would be pretty cool.
like the Hart Dynasty did it, like how they would do it,
yeah.
and then the other guy would do the sharpshooter. I like that. And then I thought, well, maybe if like it transitioned into a spine buster, like there was more impact on the way down than there was.
Yeah. I like the name.
Very cool name.
I always thought that Bret Hart should have had some kind of a pinfall maneuver and it should have been called the heart attack, but, you know, or like the heartbreaker or something like that. Like, you couldn't do heartbreaker because Heartbreak Kid, but some kind of heart pun.
The heart punch.
Not the heart punch.
about
Came
the-
in my mind too. I was like, wait a minute.
The heart on.
The heart on. Yeah, but he can only do that to Shawn Michaels because got such a hard on for him.
Maybe the Hardy brothers should do it. They could be the Hardy attack.
The heart on is the move that immediately finishes is immediately followed by the sunny days.
Or a sunset flip.
Frankie's other question here. Per a book, I forget the name of the book too. The author said that 4 matches were supposedly in the works for Mania last year. Vince versus Owens, New Day versus Usos in a TLC match, Ambrose versus Rollins, and Jason Jordan versus Kurt Angle. What do you think about those matches that were either planned or talked about? I'm glad we got what we got instead of those 4. I think Ambrose Rollins will be better this year. Jason Jordan versus Kurt Angle wouldn't have gone over well with the crowd. Vince can't wrestle a match anymore. And New Day and Usos, they had had enough matches together.
But I think
Incorporating
we
the
were
Bludgeon Brothers
predicting a
was different.
TLC for that match anyway, weren't we?
There was a rumor about it, so I think that I had that down as like, it seems like this is where they're going to go.
The Vince and
But I thought it
Kevin
was going to be a
thing-
TLC with Bludgeon Brothers, though. I thought it was going to be all three of them.
It is unfortunate that Vince can't go, because that would have been a good match once upon a time. Yeah, Jason Jordan. It sucks that he might never come back, but oh my god, what a flop with that whole Kurt Angle's son storyline thing. And I forget what the other match was. Oh, Rollins and Ambrose. They always have
Yeah.
good matches. I would have loved that. They always have good stuff.
They
Yeah.
could do it this year. There's no difference.
Oh yeah, there's no difference. They could still do it this year, but I think it would have been fine last year. But Vince vs Owens would have just been an angle rather than a match, and I don't think it would have been like you just do something of like Owens. It'd probably just be Owens versus Shane, really, but it'd be positioned as Vince facing him. So we've already seen Owens versus Shane.
Who
Yeah,
had Vince's last match?
Bret Hart, right?
yeah, Bret Hart from. I mean,
It was
I
awful.
think they had some matches on. He might have had a match on Raw in the meantime, just like an actual angle match, like
I
against
think he
I
did
don't know
something
John
with Punk. I
John
think he did
Cena or
something with
Punk or something. Yeah. New Day vs Usos seen a lot of times, even if it would be so. I mean, it would have been better than the actual match we got with the New Day and the Usos. So I'd give that credit. Ambrose Rollins, big, very good match. So can't really complain too much. Even if the timing would have been a slightly off, it still would have been a great match. I thought Jordan vs Angle would have been good. I think Jordan's very underrated in the ring. Angle has lost a step, but can still go. So, I mean, to be fair, Angle was in a much better match, like the best match on the entire show because of the Rousey stuff. So he got a lot better end of the stick than this match would have been. And I would have preferred Jordan versus Rollins. I thought they were building towards that pretty well.
Jordan versus Rollins?
Yeah,
I wouldn't have liked that at all.
Well,
It would have been a good
I
match.
didn't like half of WrestleMania, so
Like you just said about Angle, it would have been a good match, but the things that they were doing with Jason Jordan were just so ridiculous with the Sun angle that it just would have come across as a flop, no matter how good the match is.
I thought they were actually building the stuff quite well with Jordan, like turning like pseudo heel, like him still trying to be a baby face, but that was actually him turning heel. It was. I think a lot of people
ends up actually being a producer.
It
Jordan.
depends on how bad its injury is.
I think Jordan's not been around long enough to be a producer. He doesn't have enough experience, and if he does just go into producer, it would just be like a gimme stuff. He could be a trainer, but producer definitely not.
Like rumor has it that he can't go anymore, that they feel guilty, so they're looking to maybe groom him as a producer, or like they like to keep the guys around. Maybe he gets a GM role or something.
I think Matt Hardy goes into the producer role. Jordan goes into the trainer role.
Yeah, he doesn't have enough savvy for the business to be a producer. But maybe over time he develop it. But right now he could only really be a trainer, and even then, like how long have you been wrestling? Like 5 years at most, maybe. He was a good hand, but don't think.
I hope he's able to wrestle again. I hope he's able to actually wrestle again.
I hope so.
Yeah,
I think he's
nobody wants
underrated.
anybody's career to end. How
No.
did they put him with Gable immediately?
Yep. I think that'd be better for him. You do
Especially
that,
especially
keep
if
it a
it's
little bit.
current injury. Being in a tag team
Yeah.
would be so much less strain on it.
Same thing with Sheamus.
Yeah.
Our final question here from Awesome Piano Man. Hey man, my birthday is at the end of the month. Can we please bring back the outros? I don't think the outros are ever going to come back, sadly.
I can't do that sort of stuff. Like, I'm not a good enough songwriter. Like Tony's the only one out of the three of us that's any sort of good at writing these songs and stuff like that. So if he was to write them, I'd deliver them, but I'm not going to sit down and write one.
It takes a lot of time and effort, and when they switched over YouTube to have the end card thing instead of annotations, that made it to where the end of all the episodes now are the same 3 count and like those end card type things. I can't really make it where it used to be like I could put any, like the outro would last as long as the outro song would be. And I would just take that little graphic and just change it to whatever the time length of that audio file was. But I can't do that with this because then it doesn't link up right with the end card. So that's kind of an issue that's always going to be the case. So I would need to do a outro for that to work. And it's extra editing and all that other kind of stuff. But also, once we switched over from doing all the recording of Ask Him, Hot Tags, Rest Hold, Main Event, Fantasy League, outro, we used to record that over the course of like a 3-hour chunk of time. And it kind of outdated itself a little bit. Like, we used to have the Did You Know every week, because that would be like a spot for the Rest Hold and stuff. And really, the outros, they were a lot of fun, but I think that they're only fun because of having longer recordings and creating little side jokes and stuff. And there haven't been as many side jokes over the past like 2 years. Just because, you know, we're not doing this at Friday night where everything is funnier because we're tired and doing it for 4 hours in a chunk of time and stuff. So I don't think that the outros would work as well. I think that we would end up putting in a lot of work for it and not getting a whole lot out of it. But maybe once in a while, if we could think of something, maybe we'll have some kind of a little jingle or something like that. I don't know. Or maybe at the end of the year, some kind of thing. Who knows? Maybe I'll get Drew back and he could do some, yeah.
Yeah, I'm just going to put it out there. Like, it would be fun, in theory, to bring it back. But let's face it, the podcast has changed a bit since that time. Obviously, with the different format and structure and everything like that. But also, like Payden's not here anymore, and Payden used to deliver the best ones. Drew's not here, and Drew used to deliver the best worst ones. And Drew's only like temporarily and stuff like that. Wago like was good at those ones. Sean's not here to be drunk and shout over that stuff anymore. Like me and Rob could honestly give it our best shake, but come on, we can't really reach up to those standards.
And we're a lot more like, yeah, but wrestling and seriousness. But
yeah,
I
we
did
take
sing
this
with
too
my baby
seriously to
tonight.
do outros.
I did sing with my baby tonight for you guys.
Yeah, if we ever get Bruce Pritchard on this show, we'll get him to sing that too. All I gotta do is go, Jeff Jarrett, and then he'll start singing it.
I mean, I take a strange, probably unfounded sense of pride in the fact that I've done the last real outro on Stack Talk, so I don't really want anyone else to do another one, just so I can always have that thing. I did a version of Ric Flair's thing because Ric Flair had just come back from nearly dying. So that was for the what was it, the 200th episode or 300th episode spectacular?
300th.
Yeah, 300th episode spectacular thing. So maybe when we do the 400th, he'll come back, and then we'll get Rob to do it. We'll force Rob into one of them.
Yeah. All right, I'm okay with that.
or like the year awards or whatever.
We'll figure something
I still
out.
never got my award for doing that.
Is there
I
an
was the only one
award
that did
for
it,
best
so I get the award for it.
co-host?
Oh yeah, I got
Reward
that
for
one.
best what?
The award for best co-host?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm a lock for that, huh?
I mean, the more you say that, the less likely. But you know, go ahead.
Well,
I bet
listen here.
I mean, I'd give it to Caroline this year, but you know, that's just me.
Well, yeah, Caroline was great during the Sexy Superstar. She made that whole thing worth it.
She has been watching a little bit of Raw and SmackDown lately, just kind of like in the background and stuff.
feel
And
so
I
sorry
love,
for her.
I love the comments every once in a while. She'll just be like, who's this guy, kind of a thing, and it's like, oh, he looks like this, and like that kind of thing. I just love it. I'm like, that's great. But yeah, I don't know. Maybe at the end of the year, maybe we do some kind of outro thing or something. I haven't figured out what we're gonna do for the end of the year awards yet because, let's face it, it's August. I haven't figured that crap out, and we still haven't even figured out what we're gonna do for that whole Survivor Series thing yet. But we do know what we're gonna have for next week. Next week is gonna be very strange because we're gonna do predictions for All In.
Yay! We're not doing WWE related predictions. Yeah.
Unless it ends up being something crazy happens in WWE where it's like, oh, we need to do a memorial thing for Vince McMahon.
Yeah.
I always put it out there. If that ever happens in any kind of a week, that becomes the main event just by default.
I could really see Vince being so petty that he dies just before All In comes.
You know who's not all in? Me.
You think you're gonna outstage me? By God, I'm gonna die.
I'm all in The coffin.
And they're gonna cancel your show, and my funeral will be in the Sears Center.
If that's the case, then Superstar Scores Vince McMahon is coming next week. Since that tends to be the memorial thing that we do for people. But
knowing Vince, he'd probably just kill Shane instead.
Maybe that was in the lockbox. It was
Yeah.
plans to kill Shane.
It was a gun.
But All In Predictions is happening next week. I have no idea how I'm going to give predictions for things that I have no idea who it is, because I don't know, I thought Pentagon Light was a thing. So if you are interested in that and you want to know like where we end up coming with posting that and stuff, we're probably going to do that Wednesday per normal and stuff. Maybe not. It kind of depends on what the scheduling is. But the best thing that you should be aware of when it comes to that is to just subscribe on the YouTube channel and ring that little bell for notifications. But if you are following us on iTunes and Stitcher and such, you can be aware of when those things come up, partially through like those subscription feeds and everything. But also just follow us on Facebook and Twitter at Smark Out Moment, and check out smarkoutmoment.com. Deadshot, I want to address real quick, brought up the idea of a Discord, and I am working on setting up a Discord channel and multiple sub channels underneath that for both Fanboys Anonymous and for Smark Out Moment. So leave a comment below on YouTube or on the page on Smark Out Moment itself. Let me know what you guys think. What are you interested in having for different channels on there? Are you actually going to sign up for it? Because if nobody really wants it, I'm not going to really go and put all the effort into it. I've kind of put up the skeleton for it, at least right now, and I'll be putting a link up at some point if there's enough of a support. But tell me what you think about that. You know, you in for a Discord? Not in for a Discord? Is it too much disarray? I don't know. Follow all that stuff all over the place, and you will hear more information about that when it comes around. But definitely leave your comments below and tell me what you think about that, as well as what your answers are to any of these questions that you'd like to put out there, or anything else you want to toss out in the comments. Always greatly appreciated anytime you guys leave comments, unless it's like, hey, fuck these people, you know, that kind of thing.
Hey,
My typical voice of that.
Question. So just to turn it into snack talk real quick. What have you guys eaten today?
Nothing.
Wow. Tony, you're not healthy.
I'm not healthy at all. I had a couple gulps of water, if that counts.
All right. What about you, Callum?
I had some microwave pasta meal.
Great. I had a bagel. There you go. There's your snack talk.
And if we ever do snack talk, we have to do something like with like the lunch bell or something like that. That has to be where it goes. Yeah, those are the different plugs on the Smark Out Moment side of things, except for one more thing, which is to mention the Patreon. If you want to show your support for us on the monetary side of things and you have some spare change you want to toss our way, try to toss something through the Patreon. If you get to a certain tier, I think it's the $20 mark, you can actually request whatever special feature you'd like to see us do. So if that's something where you'd like to see us do like a top rope list or something like that we haven't done in a while, then hey, it's in your control. You could also buy a t-shirt or some other types of merchandise on our Redbubble or TeePublic shops, and there's shops for Fanboys Anonymous and A Mango Tees as well. So that's another thing to keep track of. Fanboysanonymous.com is my spot for the movie reviews and those kind of things, so check that out and follow all the stuff all over on Fanboys. Follow me on social media at all the other stuff like that. Callum?
You can follow me on Twitter at Wigmeister14. Just check out all the weekly stuff on Smark Out Moment, some of which I'll contribute on, some will just pass me by.
And for me, it's at Dude Felice on Instagram and Twitter. You can follow me there. If more people follow and interact, I might post more stuff there. WrestleZone next week will have live coverage on site of StarCast and All In. So stay tuned to WrestleZone.com and their social media for that kind of stuff. I'll be contributing some way in that, but I won't be on site, so that'll be interesting to see what I'm doing. And what else? Time Killer Apparel. That's my clothing brand, and if you want to support me, you can buy a t-shirt at timekillerapparel.com, and that would mean the world to me. And that's it for me.
Alrighty, everybody. That is our main event for this week. Thanks for listening and showing all the support that you guys show all the time. Thanks for everybody for sending in those questions. And if you didn't get a chance to send in a question this month, maybe send it in now. I'll backlog it. But you got a couple of weeks until the next one. September mailbag, whenever that's coming up, we will answer them. And we will see you then. And
Probably
next
the week after Hell in a Cell, so enjoy that.
Probably something like that. I've got it somewhere on my calendar. Somehow there's a calendar that exists. I don't know. Looks like September 19th or the 26th, depending on what's happening around that time. So 358 or 359. That's what you could be looking forward to. But until then, everybody, we will see you when we see you. This has been another Smark Out Moment, and we're being counted out.